All right, let's get into this. We're going to talk about a strategic deal that was so masterfully timed, it happened right in the middle of the world's biggest financial meltdown. This is the story of how a banking titan was forged, not out of panic, but with some truly incredible foresight.
So, picture this. It's November 2008 in São Paulo. All around the world, the financial system is in an absolute freefall. Lehman Brothers has just collapsed. Major banks are either failing or literally begging their governments for a bailout. But right here, two men representing two of Brazil's most powerful banking families are quietly making a deal.
And what's so wild is what wasn't happening. There was no desperate last-minute rescue. This wasn't some emergency merger to save a failing bank. No, this was pure, calculated strategy happening while everyone else was just trying to survive. Which kind of begs the question, right? How on earth did these two banks build something so strong, so prepared, that they could make a power move like this in the middle of a global catastrophe? Well, that's the story we're going to unpack. See, to get the answer, we can't start in that 2008 boardroom. We have to go way back, nearly 100 years, to two completely different origin stories, born from two totally distinct visions for what Brazil could even be. So let's start with the first thread of this story, the coffee bank. This is where Uni Banco's roots began, not in some bustling city, but deep in Brazil's agricultural heartland. Back in the 1920s, Brazil's whole economy basically ran on one thing, coffee. Political power, foreign trade, it was all coffee. So it makes sense that in 1924, a family business called Casa Bancária Moreira Salles was started. And just keep that 1945 date in the back of your mind, because that's when our second story starts to kick off.
You know, this first bank wasn't founded on some grand ambition to conquer the financial world. It was really born from what you could call an economy of necessity. The Moreira Salles family was already part of the coffee community. They understood that farmers needed a trusted partner to hold their money and, more importantly, to give them credit to survive between harvests. The bank was just the natural next step.
Okay, now let's flip to the other side of Brazil's economic story and pick up that second thread. This is the story of the Citibank, which is where Banco Itaú gets its start. So, while the Moreira Salles Bank was busy serving the farming community, a totally different kind of bank was being founded back in São Paulo in 1945. This was a bank for a new, modern Brazil, an urban, industrial powerhouse. And the contrast here is just so clear. On one side, you've got Uni Banco's roots in rural Minas Gerais, driven by the practical needs of the coffee trade. And on the other, you have Itaú's roots, firmly planted in urban São Paulo, fueled by the ambition of industrial expansion. You're talking about two banks born from two completely different Brazils.
Okay, let's fast forward back to 2008. These two distinct rivers, these two powerful histories, are about to merge and become one single massive force. And the scale of this new bank was just staggering. Right from day one, at the moment they merged, its assets were valued at over R500 billion. And it instantly became the bank for a huge chunk of the population, serving 55 million customers.
And its reach wasn't just local, not by a long shot. The new bank was operating across 18 different countries, basically announcing its arrival on the global stage.
So here's the bottom line. This deal didn't just create another big bank. It created the single largest financial conglomerate in the entire Southern Hemisphere, a true titan sitting right alongside giants like JP Morgan on the New York Stock Exchange. Which brings us to, honestly, the most important takeaway from this whole story. After a century of growing, competing, and finally coming together, what was the secret sauce that let them not just endure, but thrive? Well, it comes down to something we can call the proximity principle. So after all of that, the coffee fields, the industrial boom, the global financial crisis, what's the one core lesson we can take away from this incredible journey?
It's this. This is the key right here. The belief that being close to your customer is way more valuable than being close to political power. And that idea, it wasn't dreamed up in some high-rise boardroom. It came straight from the DNA of that very first coffee bank, the one built on trust and necessity right there in the community.
And that, really, is the whole story. A simple, powerful idea. Stay close to your customer. Born in a small Brazilian coffee town over 100 years ago, is the very foundation that now guides one of the largest and most resilient banks on the planet. Makes you wonder, what other giants are being built today on that exact same principle?